Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Poor Man's Workshop. Today I'm going to show you the first 5 tools that I purchased when I started my shop about 5 years ago. All 5 of these tools I actually still have. And make sure you stick around till the end of the video because I will share with you my 6th tool and you might be surprised. Now let me make something clear. Just because I purchased these tools first doesn't necessarily mean that you have to purchase them in the same order. Really, you should purchase tools depending on the projects that you have coming up. I'm also not saying that you should go out and buy all 5 of these tools at once. So the first tool that I ever purchased was a drill and a driver set. You can typically buy drill and driver sets in a pair. I've got this pair from Ryobi about 5 years ago. I still use it. I enjoy this brand. I love Ryobi. I'm not a sponsor for them at all, but I do encourage buying their products. I do like them. The first tool that I would purchase is a drill and driver set because one, you're gonna need that in a house anyways to hang up pictures or just typical repair around the home. So if you don't have a drill and driver set, go and pick one up. Usually they'll come in a pair and they'll come with a battery and a charger, and you can find deals for them during Black Friday or Memorial Day sales, and they're pretty inexpensive. Typically they'll run you about 150 bucks. Pretty good deal to get you started for your typical tools that you'll need in the wood shop. The second tool that I purchased was a circular saw. The reason I would purchase a circular saw next, because a circular saw is a very versatile tool. You can do cross cuts, you can do rip cuts, you can do miter cuts, you can do bevels, you can cut out dados. There's a ton of stuff that you can do with a circular saw. Typically you'll have 3 different sizes of circular saws. You'll have a 5.5, a 6.5, and a 7.25. There are some other sizes that are smaller and other sizes that are bigger, but those are usually the ones that you'll be looking for. If you have the option of purchasing any one of those sizes, I would purchase either a 6.5 or a 7.25. I found that my 5.5 struggles even cutting through 3/4 inch plywood. It's better to purchase a little bit bigger of a blade size. And so if I was starting out and I could only purchase my drill set, the next one that I would look at purchasing is a circular saw. Now that's number 2 on my list. Now the third tool that I purchased was actually a jig. It's the Craig pocket hole jig. Now the reason I purchased this is because I knew that this was going to be an easy way to do joinery, which it is. Essentially what a pocket hole is, using your drill bit, it drills it at an angle and you're able to put the screw in through that, and then it goes in through the other piece of wood that you're trying to adjoin it to. If you're gonna start out doing things like creating shop furniture or cabinets or even a table, pocket holes can be concealed and hidden pretty easily. My first pocket hole jig was this little teeny one. Later on I picked up a bigger one, the K4 system. Typically these ones will run you about 15 bucks. This one will run you close to 100 or more. And so yeah, pocket hole joiner is the third tool that I purchased for my shop. So number 4 on my list is a miter saw. It seems like there's one in every garage in America. A miter saw is really good for making repeatable cross cuts, doing anything like a bevel or a miter. Now those are all things, like I said, you can do with a circular saw, but if you're doing things that are repetitive, like when I first started, I was making picture frames, and so I needed to cut really tight miters. A miter saw made a lot of sense for me. This is the exact same model that I had when I started 5 years ago. It's a sliding miter saw, so it'll slide up to 12 inches. I do recommend that if you have the space for it. So number 4 on my list is my miter saw. Now the 5th tool that I purchased when I first started was my thickness planer. Now this thickness planer is made by Wen. It's a great product. I've had it for all 5 years. It's worked great. I've had to replace the blades maybe once. Man. The reason I would purchase a planer is if you want to get into using rough lumber, thickness planer is probably the first tool that you want to get into. Now, if you don't know a thickness planer, what it does is it'll make one side completely flat and parallel to the opposing side. Usually if you go to a lumber store, you can have them joint one edge and one face for you. And you put it through here, you're gonna have 2 completely flat parallel faces. Yeah, 5th tool that I bought was this one planer. Got it for about $300 on Amazon, and it's worked just great. So I told you that I would give you a number 6. Number 6 is a table saw. Now, when I first started, I purchased just a job site craftsman saw. If you go look at some of my older videos, you'll probably see me use that. And then I decided that I needed something beefier and bigger. And so I purchased my Laguna Fusion F3, and it is awesome. Now, the reason a table saw is not necessarily that important. Yes, the table saw is the workhorse of the shop, and it should be, because most of your milling and breaking down of material can be done on a table saw, but it can also be done with a circular saw. And so that's why I don't necessarily recommend purchasing a table saw until you absolutely need it. To start with, try to do most of your stuff with circular saws and with your miter saw, especially when you have limited space. So like I said, number 6 is a table saw. I do recommend getting one when you can, but it's not as important as I think the first 5 tools that I purchased are. So there you have it. Those are the 5 tools that I started with when I started my shop. I hope this video is helpful and gives you some insight on the tools that you might need to start your own wood shop. All the tools will be linked in the description below. I'm not sponsored by any of these tools. These are just strictly the tools that I started using and that I swear by and I still use. If you haven't had an opportunity, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. That way you'll be notified anytime we have a new project go up on the Poor Man's Workshop. Thanks again for watching, and like I always say, never stop creating.